Hey, what's going on, everybody? So I was thinking about this drama with Cal Rittenhouse, and I had to ask myself a question. What if Cal Rittenhouse was black? Would it change anything? Would he receive the same amount of support? And after asking myself this question, I, of course, set out to find the answer. And in addition to looking for the answer, I really just wanted to explore the shooting of unarmed men from a black perspective. And initially, I found exactly what I thought I would find, and that's cases where several black men or people of color are thrown in jail, or they go to court and then they have the book thrown at them, and then they go to jail. And these people receive little or no support. One of the situations that comes to mind is the case where the where there's this black woman who is in fear of her life from her husband. She takes a gun and she fires several warning shots in the air. The police show up and they basically give her life in prison for firing warning shots in the air. And then you fast forward to the Trayvon Martin case, and you have George Zimmerman who gets off. It just seems like there's this unequal justice when it comes down to treating people of color. And when you look at a person of color who shot an unarmed man, and then you look at a Caucasian who shot an unarmed man, 9 times out of 10, the person of color always gets the book thrown at them, even if the circumstances are similar, right? So of course, I found several of those cases where, the black person just gets the book thrown at them and they get little or no support. If they get any support, of course, it's going to come from the black community, but they get little or no support from, the white community. And I didn't initially want to make this a racial thing, but let's be honest. A lot of the riots that we see today are about the shooting of unarmed black men, right? So the racism aspect is almost impossible to avoid. So I was finding articles like this: man charged with murder claims self-defense against racist attack, right? So this article is about this guy who's biracial, and what happens is that he's on the expressway, and he he comes into contact with this truck of four white people, and apparently his side of the story is that he was in fear for his life, and that the truck full of white people were acting in a way that made him feel unsafe, and he felt that his life was in danger. So he pulls out his gun and he basically shoots at the truck. He ends up hitting and killing a young white female teenager. And then, of course, the perspective from the white people in the truck is that they didn't do anything threatening. They didn't endanger his life in no way, shape, or form. And this guy is just some crazy guy who basically shoots at them for no reason. I'm summarizing here and I'm embellishing a little bit, but I did read the article. So I'm just trying to be neutral here. What the investigation did find is that the people in the truck were drinking, and they found several bottles on the road that matched the alcohol that they were drinking. And then the individuals in the truck basically gave some conflicting statements about the incident, right? Records showed that after shooting, police charged 18-year-old Luke Conley, who was in the pickup truck with Hutchins with a misdemeanor obstruction of law enforcement officer. The police report doesn't say why he was charged. So there's something about the statement that one of the individuals gave. The Atlanta Journal Constitution reported it obtained investigative documents from Statesboro police that said Conley told police that the shooting was unprovoked, but investigators later found that Conley was seen yelling out of the truck's window before the shooting, and that someone in the pickup truck may have thrown a beer can at Wilson's car. So essentially, this is road rage, and it was really provoked by racism. Um, so I left some of the things out of the little summary there. So apparently they see the people in the truck. They see this one white girl, and they see this one white girl that they know, and then they believe that this one white girl that they know gets into the car with this biracial black man, and they get upset, and then they somehow come in contact with this biracial guy, and they end up in some type of road rage, right? Road rage is probably a nice way to describe it, but to me, it just sounds like they profiled him. But as it turns out, the girl that was actually in the car with him wasn't the girl that they knew. It wasn't the girl that they thought it was, right? So to speak, right? So it's a totally different girl in the car. His side of the story is that he fired the gun in self-defense because they were in the truck and they were yelling racial slurs, and they tried to run his car off the road. Now, this is what he's saying. We don't know what actually happened. We weren't there. We don't know the facts. We have to leave this up to the police and judge and jury, and just hope that that everyone gets a fair trial. So this is one of the stories that I found where a black man goes to jail for shooting an unarmed person, right? So I was finding lots of stories like this, and it's basically the same treatment that Cal is getting. And this story isn't really over because we don't. This actually happened in July 7th, right? 2020. So this is an ongoing situation. It'll be interesting to see what actually happens in this case. But yeah, so I was finding lots of cases like this. But then I found this case. Black man actually able to use self-defense plea after violent confrontation outside a Pennsylvania bar, right? And then the article goes on to say that there is allegedly a right in the U.S. criminal justice system, the right to use deadly force to protect one's property or prevent death or bodily harm to one's person. It's called self-defense. However, this plea usually only works for those of Caucasian persuasion. So, this is an interesting story. What happens is that, this guy, he goes into a bar with one of his white friends, and it just so happens to be a majority white bar. And he gets in some type of altercation with, several people in the bar, him and his friend. They leave the bar, and as they leave the bar, they somehow try to jump them. They actually get to the point where they're beating up his Caucasian friend, and then they're approaching him in a menacing manner. Now, as the article reads, there's a group of these people actually, coming to actually attack him, and he essentially just shoots. He basically shoots to kill, right? He doesn't shoot to injure, which is something I would expect a reasonable person to do with a gun. You would, shoot the guy in the leg. No, he shoots to actually kill. And the guy gets off, right? The guy gets off. He gets arrested, of course, but he goes to trial, and the jury decides to let him walk. So now I have to rethink my stance on Kyle Rittenhouse, because my whole thing with this is that you're shooting an unarmed man. You're shooting an unarmed man. And of course, I think this is wrong. I want to say that the brother was right for shooting an unarmed man, and Kyle Rittenhouse was wrong. I want to say that, but that wouldn't really be fair. It really wouldn't be fair. So in this situation, the guy is being jumped by several people, and then he has these guys approaching him, and they haven't made contact. They're about to make contact, so he shoots and he kills one of them. In Cal's situation, it's almost identical in the sense that maybe there's not a group of people. Yeah, it's almost identical, right? So there, of course, Cal has several shooting incidents. The first incident is where Rosenbaum is actually chasing him, one person, right? And Rosenbaum runs up on him, and then Cal turns around and shoot in fear for his life. So he's going to argue, and it's similar to this situation, So it's like, what can I say? What can I say? I could possibly be wrong here, and maybe I'm seeing this from a skewed lens. I don't know. This whole thing just kind of bogs my mind because at the end of the day, I do not believe in shooting unarmed people, right? I don't believe it. But when you look in this situation, you see that, of course, there's a history of racism in this country. And you see that his friend, his white friend, is basically being beaten. And there's a group of some of those same individuals coming towards him to come and beat him. And he basically pulls out his gun and he shoots and he kills one of them, right? I want to say that, he was right to do this. I want to say he was right. But again, I mean, I can't really say that and be fair to Cal. So I don't know what's going to happen to Cal Rittenhouse. I'm going to, just go ahead and just rest on this whole situation and just leave it to the judge. I will tell you, I really want Cal to go to jail. I feel that the situations are slightly different because in this situation, the guy is being approached by a group of people. He's seeing that his buddy is getting his ass kicked, and he knows that these guys are going to do the same or even worse to him. So he pulls out his gun and he shoots him. He's probably thinking of all these, he's probably thinking of all these racist things that have happened to black people over centuries, how black people were lynched and killed. So yeah, he pulls his gun out and he shoots him. In Cal's situation, I want to say is different. It's not different. I'm just gonna come out and say it's not different, but I want to say it's different. I want to say it's different because Cal is essentially only being pursued by one person, Rosenbaum. Yes, there's two other people at play here, the guy who actually fires the shot, but they're actually just firing a shot to set Cal up, right? I also want to say it's different is because, this guy, he's just going to a bar with his friend to drink. He's not actually going out to look for trouble. He's just going out to have a nice time. And in the process of that happening, he ends up getting into some altercation, and then it, ends up in a situation where he's going to be jumped. In Cal's situation, I've already made the argument that that there's protesters out there. That people are rioting. It's a dangerous situation. So I think the reasonable person standard would be just to stay home, just to stay home. But instead, Cal decides to go out there. He's not going out there because the governor told him to come out. He's not going out there because the president told him to come out. He's going out there because he wants to go out there and he's bringing a gun, right? But you know what? I'm just going to lay all that to the side and I'm just going to just kind of let that go for now. And we'll see what happens with judge and jury because at the end of the day, it's the jury who's going to have a say. It's the jury who's going to make a decision on whether or not Kyle Rittenhouse walks. But I just kind of wanted to make this video to show that I could be wrong about Kyle Rittenhouse. Apparently, you can shoot unarmed people, right? and I just wanted to, come out, show this. But as I'm showing this, I'm essentially saying two things. First, I could be wrong, and then second, I still think Cal needs to go to jail. And people are saying, well, hey, put your personal feelings aside. And you know what? It's not even a feeling. It's my belief. My belief is that you should not shoot unarmed people. I think Cal should have just fought Rosenbaum uh, hand to hand, fist to fist. Right? I think that's what should have happened in that scenario. But you know what? Like I said, I'm just going to end this video. Again, I just wanted to come out and admit that I could be wrong. I may be wrong, and I'm just coming out and just being honest with the public. And I've made these videos, and I just want to add some balance to these videos, so that's why I'm making this one. Um, Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. If you want to read this article, this is an article by The Root, and it's called "Black Man Actually Got Off in Self-Defense After Violent," or I don't know what that says. It says violin, and then it gives some number, but you can actually see the title of the article here. So if you want to use this article as an argument on Twitter to show why Kyle should get off, this is probably the best that you're going to find. It's a pretty good article, and I thought this is the closest situation that's going to resemble Kyle's that I could find. If you can find a better scenario, a better example, definitely leave a link below. But by looking at this, I can see how Kyle can actually get off for shooting an unarmed man. So that's it. Leave your questions and comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe.